Thank you for joining me, Diana Master, on NMH at 1, where we highlight the news making headlines in Namibia and beyond, ranging from current affairs, community news, sports, and a lot more. Now, in today's broadcast, NEFF demands Amushelelo's release from prison. Scholar graduates IGCSE at the age of 14, and NAM called to deal with $2.5 million Namibian dollar misappropriation allegations of unclaimed refunds belonging to students. Stick around, we will be right back after this. In our midday news update, members of the Namibia Economic Freedom Fighters today handed over a petition to the Office of the Judiciary in which they demand that the activist Michael Amushelelo be released from detention. The handover was accompanied by a peaceful demonstration at Zoo Park in the capital. Stick around after the break, we bring you visual news.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 115.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Getting into today's visual news clips, in our visual news segment, Walvis Bay correspondent Nicanor Nangolo had a chat with a hardworking and dedicated young scholar who passed the International General Certificate of Secondary Education exams with flying colors last year at just the tender age of 14. Tadiro Moyo, who hails from Tsumeb, achieved an A+ symbol in chemistry, C in English first language, and A symbols in biology, mathematics, and physics. This makes her one of the youngest IGCSE graduates in Africa. This is what she had to say about her experience leading up to the achievement.
It was kind of a weird experience, but I enjoyed it because you get to wake up at your own time and you have long hours. It was hard because I have a lot of hours. I had long hours. It's not like normal school where you go to school early morning and you come back at maybe 3 or something and then you're done. But then for me it was I wake up at 9 and then maybe I start at 10 and then I have long hours from maybe 10 to 9 or 11 and it was really hard, and it was also kind of fun as well. Okay, so I used a lot of question papers. I go through a lot of question papers. I write my question papers, and if there's a topic that I don't understand, I ask my dad, and he explains it to me. And then I go to YouTube, and then I watch the specific topic that I'm getting stuck at, and then I watch the video, and then I go back to the paper. I try again, and I write the paper again, and I keep on writing the paper again until it goes into my system. If there's a topic that I fail, and then I keep on doing that topic until it goes to my system. And yeah, that's how my study method is. My favorite subject definitely is math, because there's always an answer, there's a solution, and the way to learn maths is to do maths. So it's not like chemistry, physics, where you learn, you memorize and everything, and you're just looking at it and you're reading. But then with maths, you actually have to do the maths to actually get and understand the maths. My advice is you have to work hard. It's going to be hard, it's going to be tough, you're going to cry a lot, you're going to sweat a lot, but it's hard work. You need to work hard. No matter what situation you're in, maybe it's whatever race you are in, it doesn't matter. You need to work hard. It's that simple. Do your question papers, read your books. You don't have to get distracted a lot. Don't go on social media and all that. You just need to work hard. Put your distractions aside and work hard and focus.
Now, a board meeting scheduled for today will address allegations that an employee has allegedly misappropriated unclaimed refunds belonging to the students at the Namibia College of Open Learning, thought to be $2.5 million Namibian dollars. The details follow as the Namibian Sun leads us into the newspaper review segment after the break. Now let's take a look at what's leading Namibia's dailies. A board meeting scheduled for this evening at the Namibia College of Open Learning will in part deal with allegations that an employee has allegedly misappropriated unclaimed refunds belonging to students at the institution, thought to be 2.5 million Namibian dollars, reports Namibian Sun. NAMCOL Director Dr. Harold Morangi, who is part of the board, is also expected to face questions as to why no action has been taken against the employee accountant Julia Imene. The money was allegedly diverted to a ghost account, which preliminary investigations suggest is linked to her. Affirmative Repositioning's Dr. Job Amupanda sounded the alarm over the alleged misappropriation. On page 4 of the paper, Trade Minister, Domestic and Foreign Investors through the Namibia Investment Promotion and Facilitation Bill. This comes in response to criticism from experts or empower local investors. This prompted the drafting of the investment bill, which prioritizes the identification, the go-ahead on Saturday. Staff of the company that lost the tender for ground handling services to Paragon Investment Holdings were denied access to the airport site with immediate effect on Saturday, with the warehouse under their supervision summarily closed with stock and all. The impact of this has affected several businesses, with two owners saying in telephone interviews with Republican that they will have to close their doors if the stock is not made available immediately. Republican also reports that the Namibian Port Authority, NAMPort, is preparing itself and the two ports in Walvis Bay and Lüderitz for the upcoming oil and gas boom by providing space and logistics services to these industries. Speaking at the Oil and Gas Conference in the capital recently, NAMPort CEO Andrew Kanime said a total of 200 hectares of prime coastal land has been earmarked at Walvis Bay's new North Port for the establishment of a one-stop destination for world-class oil and gas supply base. Phase 1 consists of 200 hectares of land in Walvis Bay and an additional 30 to 50 hectares to support the development of the Oranjecom and other products, he said. According to the Allgemeine Zeitung, the Ministry of Environment is concerned after 62 wire snares were found around Okakweo in 3 days. Recently, some animals were spotted by visitors in the Etosha National Park with wire snares around their necks. The Ministry of Environment comments on this and explains that the removal of snares is part of the daily tasks within the park management. Transnamib buys vehicles to increase revenue, headlines Allgemeine Zeitung's page 3. The Transnamib rail company had previously stated that it would save 2 million Namibian dollars a month by suspending its 75% subsidy on retirees' health insurance premiums. Now vehicles worth 2 million have been purchased to boost revenue. We'll now take a quick ad break and return with what's headlining the Namibian newspaper after the break.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Let's continue right along with our newspaper review. Many communal farmers and traders selling mahangu and other agricultural produce in the north are flocking to Angola to buy mahangu and dry beans, among others, and for reselling for their own survival. This is due to the high demand for these crops, as many farmers did not yield good harvests this year. The drought has seen an increase in demand for agricultural produce in the northern parts of the country, forcing traders and farmers to cross the Oshikango border to buy products in Angola to survive the crisis. The saga of recovering 23.5 million Namibian dollars paid towards the 2016 Kora Awards, which never took place, continues as an appeal process moves slowly through Namibia's legal system, according to page 3 of the paper. Meanwhile, the Kora Awards on their Facebook page have been teasing a 2024 return, but with very little information. International Relations Minister Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah yesterday confirmed that Namibia is for the first time attending the BRICS summit to observe the proceedings without actual participation. BRICS, consisting of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is holding its 15th annual summit in Johannesburg this week, and about 50 heads of state and government will be attending the summit. Namibia is attending the summit as observers. We are just hearing that BRICS opened up doors for new membership, so we need to find out the procedures before declaring anything. It's something to consider if it will bring benefits to our local economy, the minister stated. Responding to questions, Nandine Ndaitwah confirmed she is one of the Namibian officials who will attend the summit. The fishing industry caught the Minister of Fisheries, Derek Clausen, off guard on Friday, confronting him through a statement on the status of the fishing industry during the annual Namibia Fish Consumption Breakfast meeting held in Walvis Bay. Rather than acting as gatekeepers, the government has become a contender in the fishing industry, according to the association. Stringent rules that apply to the sector do not seem to be applied to the government, creating a chaotic situation. The association further criticized the handling of governmental objective quotas, overdue scorecards, and the allocation of quotas to companies that did not meet their previous season's catch despite clear regulations. Moving over to Market Watch, the tourism peak season of 2023 is exhibiting robust performance, with July 2023 recording an occupancy rate of 61% compared to 51% in July 2022. The month of July marks the commencement of peak season by demonstrating a steep uptick in occupancy rates for each year. July 2023 occupancy levels have been the best over the last 5 years, having surpassed July 2018's occupancy rate by 0.12 percentage points, according to Simonis Storm. Year to date, the average occupancy rate is 46.3%, 2.6 percentage points short of 2019's average of 48.9%. Stick around after the break, we bring you economic news.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Let's get into our economic news. Trigon Metals, which operates the Combat Mine in partnership with local entrepreneur Knowledge Kati and state-owned Ipangelo Mining, has secured funding worth $169 million Namibian dollars to acquire underground mining equipment ahead of restarting operations. This equipment will comprise the majority of the underground mining fleet for the restart of mining from the Assis West shaft at the company's Combat Mine in Namibia, where production is scheduled to ramp up from April 2024, reads a Trigon's statement issued on Monday. The purchase will be made through the company's Namibian subsidiary, Trigon Mining Namibia, which has received approval from Epiroc Financial Solutions for equipment finance. The term of the financing facility is 16 months from the shipment date of each piece of equipment, and interest will accrue at 10.95% per annum. Repayments will be made in 55 monthly payments, commencing 6 months after the respective dates of shipment, Trigon said. Mining equipment is expected to arrive on site at Combat between October 2023 and March 2024. Let's take a look at the economic indicators, proudly brought to you by Bank Windhoek. The Namibian dollar trades at 23.63 to the British pound, at 20 Namibian dollars and 24 cents to the euro, and 2 Namibian dollars and 57 cents buys you 1 Chinese yuan. Most of these selected stock closing prices maintained their value. Local index closed took an upturn of 0.05%, while overall index closed took an upturn of 0.09%. Looking at commodities, most commodities are up, save for Brent crude oil, which took a dip of 1.21%, now trading at $83.14 per barrel. Stick around, we return with news from Africa after this break.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with the entertainment.
Everything was happening during
this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
We now expand beyond Namibia's borders, bringing news from Africa, and later on we'll bring you international news from the rest of the globe. Starting us off, voting is underway in presidential and parliamentary elections in Zimbabwe, where the opposition is seeking to end the 43-year rule of the ZANU-PF party. Even before polling stations opened, long lines had already started to form in Bare, a township in the outskirts of capital Harare. Some told the BBC they were excited to exercise their rights. The country's economy is in ruins, but a government spokesperson said he believed Zimbabweans wanted to give President Emmerson Mnangagwa another term in office. The campaign has been marked by the arrests of activists from the opposition Citizens Coalition for Change, which has been given little exposure on state media. But earlier this week, the party's candidate for president, Nelson Chamisa, told the BBC he was confident of victory. Up to 6.5 million are expected to turn out in an election between the old guard and the younger generation eager for change. Police have warned voters to leave the polling stations after casting their ballot, after some NGOs urged Zimbabweans to defend their vote against manipulation. In our next story, the United Nations Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, plans to commit $270 million to Nigeria's humanitarian and poverty alleviation efforts and pledged to help set up an emergency operations center, its executive said on Tuesday. The government of President Bola Tinubu wants to lift 133 million citizens out of poverty. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation Beta Edu told UNICEF executives Christian Munduate and Eduardo Salades at a meeting in Abuja. Edu did not provide a timeline for achieving the target. UNICEF said the agency will support the establishment of a humanitarian emergency operations center that will help monitor, mitigate, and prevent emergencies, and also help the ministry build capacity for its staff. Edu said the government will target about 71 million extremely poor Nigerians who live on less than $1.95 a day because time is of the essence. We need to run at the speed of light to roll out social programs that will bring relief to the burdens of the poor, she said. We return with international news right after this. India is hoping to make history today by becoming the first nation to land near the moon's south pole. One of the mission's major goals is to hunt for water-based ice, which scientists say could support human habitation on the moon in future. If Chandrayaan-3 is successful, India will be only the first to have achieved a soft landing on the moon. India's attempt comes just days after Russia's Luna 25 crashed while trying to touch down in the same region. The south pole of the moon holds special promise in the search for water ice. The surface area that remains in permanent shadow there is huge, and scientists means there's a possibility of water in these areas. The US, the former Soviet Union, and China have all achieved a soft landing near the moon's equator, but none have led successful missions to its south pole. India's attempt to land its Chandrayaan-2 mission near the south pole in 2019 was unsuccessful. It crashed into the lunar surface, so all eyes are now on Chandrayaan-3, its third mission to the little explored moon. Getting into our next story, Japan said on Tuesday it will start releasing into the sea more than 1 million metric tons of treated radioactive water from the wrecked Fukushima nuclear power plant on 24 August, going ahead with a plan heavily criticized by China. The plan, approved 2 years ago by the Japanese government as crucial to decommissioning the plant operated by Tokyo Electric Power Company, has also faced criticism from local fishing groups fearing reputational damage. I expect the water release to start on August 24, weather conditions permitting, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said. The announcement comes a day after the government said it had won a degree of understanding from the fishing industry over the release of the water into the Pacific Ocean, even as fishing groups said they still fear the reputational damage would ruin their livelihood. The water will be initially released in smaller portions and with extra checks, with the first discharge totaling 7,800 cubic meters over about 17 days starting Thursday, TIPCO said. That water will contain about 190 becquerels of tritium per litre, below the World Health Organization drinking water limit of 10,000 becquerels per litre, according to TIPCO. A becquerel is a unit of radioactivity. Japan has said that the water release is safe. Stick around, we bring you local sports news and international sports news after the break.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraika. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
And now for our local sports news. A hectic lineup of competitions awaits the brave gladiators of Namibia. The team will face Gambia on 18 September in the first leg qualifying match of the Africa Cup of Nations. They will play the second leg on 26 September. They will then turn the attention to the CASAFA Championship, which will kick off on 30 September to 11 October. Thereafter, they will play African heavyweights and FIFA Women's World Cup debutants Morocco in the Olympic qualifiers. Boxing promoter Nesta Sunshine Tobias has said preparation for the upcoming Together as One Boxing Bonanza is at an advantage stage. The event will take place on the 1st of September at the Ongwediva Trade Fair grounds. Namibia's national rugby team will take on Blue Bulls in their final home game on Saturday before leaving for the World Cup. We will be right back with international sports. The ATP will guarantee its players a minimum wage for the first time as part of a 3-year trial to be launched in 2024, the governing body of men's tennis said. Wade van Niekerk may have had a bit of a wobble in Tuesday night's semi-finals at the World Athletics Championships in Budapest, scraping into the final as one of the fastest losers, but he can pick himself up and fight for a medal in the final on Thursday. England's Billy Vunipola has joined captain Owen Farrell in being banned for the start of next month's Rugby World Cup after receiving a 3-week suspension for his red card in a warm-up match against Ireland, officials announced on Wednesday. If you're just joining us, this is NMH at 1, and we will get into the highlights from today's broadcast right after this break. You're still with NMH at 1. Now let's get into the highlights from today's broadcast, just in case you need a quick recap. Trigon Metals, which operates the Combat Mine in partnership with local entrepreneur Knowledge Kati and state-owned Epangelo Mining, has secured funding worth 169 million Namibian dollars to acquire underground mining equipment ahead of restarting operations. India is hoping to make history today by becoming the first nation to land near the moon's south pole. One of the mission's major goals is to hunt for water-based ice, which scientists say could support human habitation on the moon in the future. In sports, a hectic lineup of competition awaits the brave gladiators of Namibia. The team will face Gambia on 18 September in the